Welcome, viewing several. We're back here on the tiny loop, which is my just desktop temporary loop, and a bit of my old background in the background from another project that's been out of use for a long time. So we're just going to show today my Metro Cammell Lightweight 2-car DMU set. Now, these things are quite interesting. The real ones were the sort of prototype DMUs from the mid-50s, 1955 I think. They made a few of them, and I think they were eventually went on to become the Class 101s, were developed from these. But these early ones, they were in use until, well, I think the late 60s, possibly longer, maybe even the early 80s, one or two of them. And Triang brought out their first model in 1958, and this particular pair are a bit later than that. You can see they come in a Hornby Railways box. So these were produced between 1974 and 1978, which was the last time that this model appeared in the Hornby catalogue. But they're largely unchanged from the earlier models. They do have this yellow panel, and the other thing that distinguishes them from the early models from the 50s is that they've had illumination added to the head codes, which we'll see when we run it. But we'll have a quick look first. So this is the power car, and these come with the Type 2 motor bogie, which was the Triang one. I think this is a Type 2B or something like that, dating right back to the late 50s, and it's pretty unchanged. And I think by the time that this was in the 70s, when this would have been for sale, this particular one was probably looking a bit old-fashioned even then. You can see somebody's put passengers inside this, and there is an interior. I think the original Triang ones didn't have an interior, and I'm not even sure if this came with an interior or whether that was retrofitted. But it's got the British Rail C logo, which is the lion holding wheel. I don't know if you can get that in focus. So there we go, and you can see there's a basic interior, and yeah, it's a very, if I balance it, it's ludicrously heavy at the back and almost no weight at the front. I think maybe it could do with some weight adding to the front. There doesn't seem to be any in the middle, but I guess, I don't know whether that's how I got it, and that's how it is so far. You can see it's got the head code, that does light up, and then the trailer car. I read somewhere that trailer cars typically didn't carry the British Rail logo. I don't know if that's entirely true, but it seems to be the case, and they seem to be following that in a lot of the heritage railways. So I guess that's correct. So yeah, this one has got the head code lighting, as you can see the wiring for it there. So there was things to do to get this working. So we'll just talk about that next. Right, this is a copy of the service sheet for this particular model, which is R155. So you can see, I don't know if you can see, but this is the thing here. So it's got an armature that sits in this thing, and you've got this Bakelite piece here, and then all of these metal pieces, this clip where you put the brushes, and you almost need 3 pairs of hands to put those in. So what I did was, a lot of it was grotty, so all of these metal pieces, I cleaned them all up. I've dismantled it, cleaned them all up, I've remagnetised the magnet, tidied up some of the wiring, but and cleaned up the commutator, oiled the bearings and some of the other bits that need oiling, so the gears and the worms. So it's running nice now, and I got the head code, didn't seem to be working, but it may have broke when I opened it up, but I fixed that as well. And the head code in the trailer car wasn't working and the bulb was broken. I didn't have a spare. I've got some on order, so for now I've fitted a couple of resistors and an LED, so it's a little bit different in colour, as we'll see when we run it, but you know, it works. So yeah, I mean these motors, very old-fashioned, but completely serviceable, and you know, you get the feel it's a nice mechanical piece of mechanical engineering. As I said, it's just this one bogie with the pickup on it. There's obviously nothing, there's no pickup on the front there, it's a very simple bogie, but they do seem to be riveted on. I don't know whether you can actually remove those, but I haven't needed to do that, so that's okay. Like a lot of Triang products, they have a flat head screw on the top of the coach, which obviously today's models don't have such things as that. Right, so I was just talking before I was interrupted about these. You see the screw there that opens them up, and you got there's some nice little details on here, but it's a very old model. The tooling is from 1958, and it's very crude by today's standards, both in terms of detail, and it runs all right. And the features are fairly limited. This whole headcode thing was added on in the 70s at the very end of life of this model, so it wasn't on the earlier ones. But yeah, it's quite nice. I mean, the thing I like about this is you can have a modern detailed model and pay lots of money for it, or you can get one of these, and okay, it's not as good in lots of ways, but what is good about this is this model was actually made of similar, it's contemporary with the real trains. So in the 50s this was the model of that train. It's all very well detailed models, but there's something you can't get, which is an actual model that was around at the time the real trains were around, and this actually predates the TOPS classification and everything. So this is a vintage model of the similar vintage, more or less by 1 or 2 years of the actual real thing. So you can't really get that with a high detailed modern model. Is lovely, but it doesn't have that history and heritage, and I think there's something about these older models that you really just can't beat, even with a modern model which has been produced in the last couple of years. These were actually around when the real ones were made, so that's pretty cool in my opinion. But I do like the modern stuff as well, but I like the older stuff as well. So I'm going to show you it running now. Right, we're going to start off with a shot of the whole tiny loop, and we'll do some running. So now, one thing I've noticed about this is it does make a little bit of noise, as if it is a little bit catching on the track. This is a modern track. This is Pico A-Glice with roadbed, but it's just a nice track to set up temporarily on my desk here, and I use it for testing a lot of things. I've got a Roco one as well, but I have got some Triang track loops that I'm cleaning up, but I need to get at them with the Dremel and get them really reliable. And because it's steel track, you can just give them a good old sanding or whatever you need to do to get it running, and not worry too much about it, because I've got absolutely tons of it, and I'll just clean up a small loop of first radius, and I can use that for Triang stuff with the Corsa wheels to demonstrate that here. Eventually, when I get my shed, I'm hoping I can have bigger loops, but we'll Let's increase the speed. Right, that's full tilt. Right, so the head code on this direction is the original wheat grain bulb. And now I'm going to stop it, I'm going to run it the other way. Right, so this, in this direction, I put a couple of resistors in series to dim that down a bit, but that is an LED, a warm white LED. It's not too bad actually, is it? It's quite yellow. But that's it running in reverse. So on this particular one, the motor bogies, the back of the power car, got a feeling on that EMU that I did in the last video was at the front, so when it was running backwards it's pushing it all from the back. So you can see that's running pretty well. I rather like that. So there's still a bit of because it's very old, I've still got a little bit of it would seem work to do at lower speed performance, but that's pretty good. To be fair, I think it probably run better with the older H&M controller. This is the Gauge Master one. So what I'm going to do next is I'll just talk about, I'll get some nice close-up shots, and then before I do, I'm just going to talk about what else I got when I bought this. So we'll do that now. So when I picked this up from the auction site, it was advertised as being a 3-car set. Of course there isn't any. There were no 3-car sets. Not the real prototypes were not 3 cars. They were all 2-car sets, and there was never a 3-car set in the Triang or Hornby range. But I did get this rather nice Mark 1 open coach, I think it is, yeah. There we go. Mark 3 open second. So yeah, it's it doesn't look like a Mark 3, does it? But anyway, that's the box it came in. So this is a coach that I got with it, but I'm not going to run this with this. I'm just going to run this as the 2-car set. But it's nice to get this thrown in. It looks like somebody's done a bit of detailing on the underframe. They've painted some things. So as a bonus in this episode, I think what I'll do is I'll run this round the track with a diesel, maybe a Class 25, maybe the High-Mech, or maybe the A1A Triang, if that runs. So we'll do that in a minute, but I'm going to get some shots first of we'll get some shots of this. So this is a kind of typical suburban scene with what looks like 1930s houses, semi-detached houses, near the railway line. A familiar kind of environment to me when I was growing up. This house could be the White House, could be, for example, my friend's nan and granddad's house, and perhaps we'd go round there on our bikes, and his nan would give us some of that orange squash that didn't taste of oranges but was really nice. Maybe a Viscount biscuit. So this one doesn't run quite as well slowly as my EMU, but you get the idea. Let's see. Right, we're back again. So, right, because I got this coach with the lot that came with the DMU, I thought I'd just give that a go, and I've put this is an old Triang Model, again with a motor bogie. I think it's a similar kind of setup, and the box this came in says Hornby Railways on it, so it looks like it's a very early 70s one, just after they went to the name Hornby Railways. So let's give it a run. It's a bit tight of a radius for it, but it does work. If I remember rightly, I've still got a bit of work to do on this one. I gave it a clean up, but I think it needs new brushes. I can't remember. I'll have to have another look inside it, but it's running okay, but that's as fast as it'll go. So maybe it needs to be remagged. I mean, to be honest, I don't want to run it any faster than that, but it might be drawing quite a bit of current if it needs to be remagged, so I might do that. It certainly runs alright at slow speeds, given the wheel configuration and the tightness of this radius. I think that's not bad. When you buy these kind of locos, you don't really know whether the box is the right one it came in. I could probably look up the number and in the old Ramsey book and see if I can date it a bit more accurately, but for now I've just got it out really just to show off this. This was my bonus that I got with the 2-car set, so there we are. That's that. Yeah, quite pleased with the purchase overall, and I got this out just to give it a run, and it's still running. Like I say, I think I serviced it, but not fully, as I think it does. The brushes were down to almost the bare metal, so I think it does need a new set of brushes. And sometimes that you can order them and they're easy to get, sometimes not so easy, it just depends, I find. So next episode I'll be trying out a Class 29 Hornby that I've ordered, that I saw for a good price. I quite like them. They're the sad eyes, they call them. Quite nice locos, so I will perhaps run that one next. I've got a load of others on the bench that I'm repairing, so as I get them running and whatever, I'll put them through their paces on this test loop. The ones that will go round here, that is. Obviously some of them are a bit too long for this tight loop, but I have run my Class 55 Deltic and it does go round. It does go round here. Looks a little silly, but it does work. So yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that one, and I'll see you in the next one.